Rosa had lived next door to Vera for 11 years. In 11 years, Vera had never knocked on her door. Not once. On a Thursday afternoon in November, someone knocked on Rosa's door. She opened it. There was no one there. There was a cat. An orange cat with white paws and copper eyes. He looked at her. He turned and walked toward Vera's house. He stopped and looked back. Rosa said, "Is something wrong?" The cat turned toward Vera's house again. 4 seconds. Rosa took off her apron. She stepped outside. She followed the cat. Those 4 seconds saved Vera's life. Vera was 74 years old. She had lived in the same small house in Tucson, Arizona for 31 years. Her husband had died 19 years ago. Her son lived in Denver. He called every Sunday. Vera was not unhappy. People assumed she was, because she was alone. She was not alone. She had Simon. Rosa had tried, in the beginning. She had brought cookies. She had waved across the fence. Eventually, she had stopped trying. Some people want to be left alone. Rosa respected that. Simon had come to her 7 years ago, an orange stray who had appeared on her back step one October morning. She had fed him once. He had never left. He sat on her lap when she read. He slept on her feet at night. He followed her from room to room with the possessive attention of a cat who has decided that a particular person belongs to him. Vera belonged to Simon. It was a Thursday in November. Vera had been in the kitchen making lunch. Simon was on the kitchen chair, his usual spot, watching her. He always watched her in the kitchen. She had always found it flattering. At 12:34 p.m., Vera felt something wrong. Not pain, something wrong. A heaviness in her chest. A strange lightheadedness. She reached for the kitchen counter. She missed it. She went down. Not slowly. Suddenly. Completely. She was unconscious before she landed. He went to her immediately. He pressed his face against hers. He pushed at her with his paw. She did not respond. He pushed harder. Nothing. He pressed against her chest, his warm body against her, ridding her breathing. She was breathing, but she did not wake. He sat beside her head. He waited 30 seconds. She did not wake. He stood up. He walked to the kitchen door. He looked back at Vera on the floor. He looked at the door. He had never gone outside alone. In 7 years, he had never pushed through the screen door by himself. He pushed through it now. He crossed the small back garden. He went through the gap in the fence. The gap that had always been there, that he had never used. He crossed Rosa's garden. He went to Rosa's back door. He had never been to Rosa's back door. He had never had a reason. He had a reason now. He sat down in front of it. He opened his mouth, and he screamed. Not the meow of a cat wanting food, not the sound of a cat at play, a sound from somewhere deeper, urgent and raw, and impossible to ignore. He screamed for 40 seconds. Rosa was in her kitchen. She heard it through the closed door. She put down her knife. She went to the door. Rosa opened it. There was an orange cat she had never seen before. He looked at her. He turned toward Vera's house. He looked back. Rosa said, "Is something wrong?" The cat turned toward Vera's house again. She said, "Whose cat are you?" He looked back at her. She saw Vera immediately. On the floor, beside the stove, her white hair on the linoleum. Rosa said, "Oh God." She was beside Vera in 2 steps. Her pulse. Weak, but there. She called 911, her voice steady, her hand on Vera's hand. She said, "I am with you." The ambulance took 6 minutes. Rosa talked to Vera the entire time. She had never spoken this many words to Vera in 11 years. Simon did not move. He pressed against Vera, and he did not move. At the 4-minute mark, Vera's hand twitched. Rosa said, Vera, I'm here. Can you hear me?" Vera's eyes did not open, but her hand moved again, finding Simon's fur, her fingers in his orange fur. Without opening her eyes, without knowing she was doing it, her hand found him. Rosa watched this happen. She put her free hand over both of them. As they prepared to move her, Vera's eyes opened. Just briefly, she said one word. She said, "Simon." Rosa said, "He's here. He's right here." She lifted Simon onto the stretcher for 1 moment. Just 1 moment. Just enough. Vera's hand found his fur. Her eyes closed. She was taken to the hospital. Simon was not allowed to follow. He sat at the front door of Vera's house. He watched the ambulance leave. He sat down. He began to wait. Vera spent 9 days in hospital. Rosa visited every day. She brought things the soup Vera had been making when she fell. She had found the recipe card on the counter. She had made it herself. Vera cried when she saw the soup. She had not cried in front of another person in a very long time. Rosa pretended not to notice. She was good at that. Vera came home on a Tuesday. Simon was at the front door. She opened the door. He walked inside. He went to his spot on the kitchen chair. He sat down. He looked at her, as if to say, "You're late," as if nothing had changed. Everything had changed. Rosa came for dinner that first Friday, and the Friday after, and the Friday after that. 11 years of quiet fence between them. It took a cat 4 seconds to cross it. Vera's son came to visit in December. He said, "Mom, you have a friend." Vera said, "I always had Simon." Her son said, "That's not what I meant." Vera looked at Rosa across the kitchen table. She said, "Yes, I think I do." Simon jumped onto the table. He sat between them. He had always known that Vera needed more than she would ever ask for. He had simply gone and gotten it on a Thursday afternoon in 4 seconds. The way the best companions always do. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Bound to Survive. A new story every week.